Yo, what's going on gamers? It's Ryan 6 Days a Week, and today we're going over the Skeleton Warlord boss fight, which is considered the most difficult of the Inferno layer bosses. Now, this boss is a primarily melee boss, but the fight is broken up into two phases. The first being the stationary phase, in which the boss itself is untouchable, but remains in the center of the arena. The second phase, the mobile phase, is when the boss is released and moves around to attack the player. In this phase only, the boss can be damaged. Now, let's start with the phase 1 abilities, in which there are a total of 5. First, we have the Arena Explosion, which begins the fight. At the start of this phase, or whenever you first enter the arena, an arena-wide explosion will occur after a period of seconds. To survive this ability, you need to navigate to the highlighted circle. Now, if it is unfavorable, or if you're a slower class, you can leave and re-enter the arena to reset the circle. Next, we have the Realm of Domination, which is a persisting AoE cone that is summoned on a player in the arena. If you stand in this cone for too long, or 5 stacks too long, you will be rooted in a breakable bone cage. Don't be afraid of crossing through the tip of this AoE though, since the stacks diminish pretty quickly. Next, we have the Minion Teleport, in which the Skeleton Warlord points their sword at a direction, and the minion will teleport to a player. For this teleport move, the minion will teleport to the outside of the arena relative to the player, not behind them. Upon teleporting, the minion will then immediately strike at the player. So, as long as you're moving away from the outside of the arena during this move, you will not get hit. Next, we have the Throw Knives ability, which again is a minion ability. In this move, the Skeleton Warlord will point their sword again, but in this case, all the remaining minions will throw their knives at a player's head. To dodge this move, all you need to do is side strafe. Jumping and turning will help too, especially if you have teammates in the arena, since the knives will shoot upwards and away from any potential teammates behind you. If you do have a shield, these knives can also be directionally blocked, which can be kinda nice, especially if you're in slower gear. Now, the final move of this phase is the Soul Explosion, which again is triggered on the minions. Any remaining minions in this phase will explode and be absorbed by the Skeleton Warlord. This explosion does pretty heavy AoE damage, so make sure you're not close to any minions when this happens. For each absorbed soul of the minions, the Skeleton Warlord will become more powerful and have an increased attack range, or the length of their sword will grow longer. Now, for the phase 1 sequence, the order is always the same. First, there will be the arena-wide explosion. Then, the Realm of Domination, or the bone cage cones, will come out. Then, a minion will teleport to a player. Then, the Throw Knives command will happen. And from there, a repeat of these 3 steps, starting with the Realm of Domination, will occur. So, another bone cage triangle will come out, a minion will teleport, and then the Throw Knives phase will happen. When the second time completes, Soul Explosion will occur, and the second phase of the boss fight will begin. Now, let's look at the phase 2 abilities, in which there are a total of 3. First, the Summon Crystals ability, which happens right at the start of phase 2. With this ability, 3 crystals are summoned towards the outer ends of the arena, all equal distance from each other. These crystals shoot a beam towards the center of the arena that does heavy AoE damage if you pass through. Now, these crystals do have a health bar and can be damaged down by any source of damage, which includes the Skeleton Warlord's attacks. Now, you don't necessarily need to defeat these crystals to finish the boss fight, but it is recommended you take down at least 1, just to give you a navigatable area. After these crystals are summoned, begins the melee sequence for the boss. In this sequence, the boss can be damaged. Let's go over each of the melee attacks one by one, and I'll show you how to dodge them, since honestly it's pretty simple. First, we have the downward slash, which you can dodge by strafing to either side of the boss. Next, we have the clockwise horizontal swing. All you need to do for this one is duck and look down, or duck and look straight up. With this move, do try to space yourself a little bit from the boss, since I notice if you're too close, you will get hit when ducking. Next, we have the rotating downward chop. Now, this move is quite vertical, so strafing left to right works as well. Next, we have the counterclockwise diagonal swing. With this move, strafe and duck right. Or strafe and duck to the direction the boss is swinging. Finally, we have the clockwise diagonal swing. Same thing on this one, but in the opposite direction. Strafe and duck left, or strafe and duck towards the direction that the boss is swinging in. Just heads up too, if you're a blocker or parrier, blocking any of the boss's melee attacks will spawn a burst AoE pool at your feet. It is small, but it triggers quickly, so do stay moving if you are planning to block this boss's attacks, or you'll take heavy damage. Now, some of these moves will combo, but you'll have enough time to dodge and attack in between. There is a sixth move, which is a fan to knives throw, but all you need to do to dodge this one is move back a little and duck down, or strafe side to side in between the knives. It's pretty easy to dodge, you shouldn't have issue with that one. Now, the final move that the boss has during this phase is the teleport. In this case, the boss will briefly stand still and teleport behind a player, then continue their attack sequence. It's pretty easy to dodge, pretty easy to locate, so just keep moving and paying attention and you'll never get hit by this. Now, besides the crystal summoning, this second phase of the boss fight doesn't really have a pattern that the boss will dedicate to. Just pay close attention to the boss's attack direction and dodge accordingly. Or, if you have a team, continue to kite the boss and let your team deal damage while the boss is chasing you. It's as easy as that. Now, let's recap the fight from the start. First, when you enter the arena, the boss will spawn in an arena-wide explosion. To survive this, you need to navigate to the highlighted circle. Feel free to reset the fight until you get a favorable circle if it spawns too far away. Now, this entire first phase of the fight, the boss will be invulnerable. The boss will then conduct 3 moves. First, spawn a cone, which roots you standing inside of it, then teleport a minion, then command all minions to throw knives at a player. These 3 moves are repeated. Again, these cones or realms of domination will root you if you accumulate 5 stacks inside of them. Now, it's not required that you kill these minions in this first phase, but any remaining minions will explode, dealing AoE damage around them and empower the boss, giving it more attack range and power. The next phase begins with the spawning of 3 breakable crystals, each with a damaging AoE beam that shoots towards the center of the arena. It's recommended you bring the boss over to the crystals to damage them if you are going solo. During this phase, the boss is mobile and can be harmed. This is the only time that you can actually do damage to the boss, so the killing of the boss will have to happen in this phase 2. Each move that the boss uses is blockable and dodgeable, but again, if this is an HR, blocking any of the boss attacks will spawn a pool of damage below you. These 2 phases will continue to alternate and repeat until the boss is killed. If you happen to be fighting this boss, the Skeleton Warlord, in normal mode, you can ignore the start of each phase, or for phase 1, the arena-wide explosion, and for phase 2, the spawning of the crystals. All the other moves and the order of them will be the same. Now, the general rules if you are taking this boss as a group is to group your cones or realms of domination as close together as possible to give you as much room to move around. It is a boss that can be defeated by mobility alone, so during the mobile phase, if you are getting chased by the boss, continue to kite it and let your teammates damage it down. Again, killing the minions does help as it prevents the boss from getting the longest sword in the game. Alright gamers, good luck hunting the Skeleton Warlord, and if you want to see this live on Twitch, there's a good chance I'll be hunting the Skeleton Warlord since it does drop some of the best loot in the game. Alright, I'll catch you in the next video.